3 years into its longest and most complex war, the IDF is fighting in cities and tunnels where every doorway, road, and rooftop can hide an ID or a loitering drone. Well, to reduce the risk to its soldiers, now the IDF is increasingly sending unmanned ground robots ahead of the troops, using them to clear paths, probe booby-trapped areas, and absorb the first hit instead of a human being. So today we'll talk about how from Gaza to the northern front, IDF commanders are pressing for smarter, faster machines that can move through dense urban terrains under heavy fire, turning what began as niche engineering tools into a central part of Israel's frontline combat doctrine. As I mentioned, the IDF is now deep into a grinding multi-front conflict that has forced it into some of the most challenging urban and subterranean battlefields it has ever faced. Gaza's dense neighborhoods, Hezbollah's firepower in the north, and reported operations far from Israel's borders have combined into a single drawn-out war defined by improvised explosive device, explosive drones, booby-trapped buildings, and ambush-laden streets. With frontline units constantly facing new problems from the field like new ID pattern, smarter enemy drone tactics, more complex urban layouts, and most importantly, tunnels that defy previous clearance methods. Well, commanders describe a race between evolving threats and the IDF's ability to adapt, with time for new solution now measured in days and weeks rather than years. Well, this is not a war where legacy hardware and peacetime concepts are simply scaled up. Many platforms once considered obsolete, such as aging M113 armored personal carriers, have been repurposed and transformed, while fresh technologies are being rushed from concept to combat under fire. Now the result is constantly shifting toolkit in which ground robots, sensors, and AI-driven systems are no longer experimental add-ons but core instruments for keeping soldiers alive in the most lethal zones of the battlefield. Now, under mounting pressure from the frontline units, the IDF is accelerating the deployment of unmanned ground robots across Gaza, the northern front, and other operational theaters. As troops confront more areas saturated with IEDs and explosive drones, they are demanding faster, more autonomous platforms that can operate in dense urban terrain under fire, and most importantly, often beyond the line of the sight. Well, this very push has produced a rapidly expanding autonomous ground fleet, stretching from heavy engineering platforms to nimble reconnaissance drones. Well, one flagship system is the D9 Panda, a fully robotic bulldozer that has been operational since 2022 and is now used extensively to clear routes, remove debris, and neutralize potential explosive threats, which have been recently upgraded, so it can be controlled from tens of kilometers away, well beyond the previous 3 to 5 kilometer range. Alongside with it is the Iron Beast, a converted M113 that has become one of the most requested platforms in the war. Initially destined for scrap, these Vietnam-era carriers have been fitted with new remote control systems and accessories to handle logistics, move supplies, and in some cases act as expandable platforms sent into areas too dangerous for troops. Well, several hundreds are already in service, with thousands more awaiting upgrade. Though, scaling production to meet demand remains a daily challenge for the team building them. Another robot is Ronnie RT-20, which is a compact robot used for observation and explosive ordnance disposal. Then comes the Rooster, a hybrid drone rover which can switch between flying and rolling, giving commandos and special forces units a flexible intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance tool capable of navigating urban operations. Now, together, these robotic bulldozers, repurposed armor carriers, and hybrid drone rovers form the backbone of a new ground robotic order that is increasingly taking the place of soldiers in the kill zone. The IDF's robotics drive is now entering a second phase. Network autonomy, multi-robot swans, and deep integration of AI into both platforms and command systems. In fact, Israeli defense tech firms are working with the military, the defense ministry's R&D doctorate, and major defense companies such as IAI, Elbit, and Rafale to provide brains for these robotic systems. Basically, softwares that can detect and prioritize threat, share data between platforms, and coordinate missions across the battlefield. But despite increasing autonomy and AI use, the IDF still maintains a strict human control, particularly over the use of lethal force, ensuring operators remain in the loop when such weapons are employed. Now, as the war grinds on, the IDF's battlefield is changing fast. Robots are becoming a shield, AI is becoming a guide, and both are reshaping how soldiers move, fight, and survive. And more interestingly, what began as an emergency response is now evolving into the future of Israel's ground warfare. With that, it's a wrap on this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm Yash Goel signing off for Times Now Digital. Until next time, take care and keep watching this space for more such videos.